everyone, a little bit different video today. I have to rush quite quickly because it's starting to get dark. Well, first things first, I'm filming outside because I'm bored of where I usually film. I usually film in my bedroom every fucking week and I'm bored of it, so I'm filming out here in nature. All the noises to mess up my video. The topic of today's video is a little bit more serious. I wanted to talk about my experience with a neurological condition. The neurological condition in question is AVM, which stands for arteriovenous malformation. I want to run over basically the symptoms I experienced to give my viewpoint as an AVM survivor, because there's not many videos from the perspective of someone with AVM, and what I'd actually love to do at some point, I thought about it but I don't know whether I'd be able to get enough people behind it, is perhaps maybe a documentary on AVM and a documentary of the survivors of AVM and the sufferers of AVM. They'll see their perspective rather than the scientific perspective, which is great. It's great that there's information out there. It's awesome, especially for something so rare, but you don't really know it. You know someone or have it. And I myself was diagnosed with it in around late 2011, and it was the most terrifying thing. I can remember I've always had terrible migraines. Now these migraines would be once a month, maybe twice a month, maybe every week, you know, and they'd last for 2-3 days at a time, and they would be so bad to the point where I couldn't get out of bed, I couldn't look out the window, I had to have all the curtains completely shut. Shit. You know, I also had trouble with my speech. I don't know if you've noticed in my older videos, kind of 2012, because I had the surgery in late 2013? Yeah, around late 2013, around that point. So you can see that I jump over my speech quite a lot, and I forget words that I'm going to say, and I stutter. I'm doing that a bit now, but that's because I haven't filmed a video in a little while. Sometimes I'll take longer to say something, and it's not because I'm stupid, it's just because my brain is taking a while to get to the word I want to say, and that's quite common with AVM for speech problems to be a thing, which as you can imagine doing what I do on YouTube, it makes it a tad difficult, and I might have to edit still a bit more than some other people, but you know, I do my best and I want to do this, and I'm not going to let something that was wrong with my brain and what's left of what's wrong with my brain affect that. Balance and coordination. I was clumsy. I mean super clumsy. I mean walking into everything clumsy. I mean not being able to balance properly clumsy. I mean, for instance, when I was younger I wanted to skateboard, but I could never do that. Like, I'd practice and practice and practice and practice for months, but I couldn't even cruise on it. I couldn't. I practiced for months and months and months, going around the block, trying to stay in a straight line, but it would never happen, and that was pretty bad. I also used to pass out quite a bit, and that scared everyone around me. It scared me. If anything would get too stressful, or if I got anxious and, you know, I see my blood flow got too high, I'd pass out. Now, I did something bad. I didn't tell anyone apart from my very closest friends and partner that I passed out. My family didn't know. If I began to feel faint, I'd go into a different room and I'd hide it, and I shouldn't have done that because I could have been putting myself at severe risk. I also experienced light sensitivity. Like, even when I didn't have my migraines, even on an overcast day in the middle of winter, I'd still have to wear sunglasses, and if I didn't, I would experience pretty bad pain. Now, all of this is made incredibly more scary when no one believes you. When something is so rare, because they haven't heard of it, simply because they haven't heard of it, they don't believe you have it, and they think you're just making all of this up for attention, which is not true, which is why awareness for anything is important, but awareness for anything rare and life-affecting is incredibly important. I suggest you check out the charity Burgundy for Life. In particular, my partner did a video on it, which you can see wherever I decide to put it. And you can look at the organisation for yourself and put a link, because they focus on AVM. The worst part is having to spell it all the time, because spelling Latin is not fun. Because obviously, if I hurt my leg or thought I'd broken a bone or something, which I did a lot because I was quite clumsy and I hurt myself a lot, and I went into hospital a lot. And every time I went in and they ask, oh, do you have any other conditions? And I'd say, you know, AVM, and they'd be like, oh, what's that? What does that stand for? Arteriovenous malformation. And then you have to spell it, which it gets pretty pretty boring, pretty quick. What have I talked about? Light sensitivity, balance, coordination, seizures. And the thing is with AVM, when I was diagnosed with it, I looked it up and they didn't tell me it was life-threatening. They told me it would be maybe if I got to my 40s or 50s. But I looked it up and I saw the possibility of the fact that a hemorrhage or aneurysm could happen at any time, because basically what an AVM is a tangle of arteries in the brain, and the blood has difficulty getting through those arteries, and it can build up and sometimes it can burst, and then you can have a hemorrhage or an aneurysm, which of course is incredibly dangerous. So that's what it actually kind of is. Now when I went to the doctors, they gave me 3 options. The first thing they had to do is they did all the scans. They did the MRI, the CAT scans, all of those, and they put a little tube for the groin, for a vein in my groin all the way up to my brain to have a look at it, to get a closer look at what was going on up there, alongside all the other scans. I'll actually post a picture I have of my AVM. They gave me 3 options. They said I could either have a dye surgery, which is basically where they cut off that bit of the brain entirely to stop it bursting, which I wasn't really too keen on. I could have full frontal vein surgeries where they go in with a knife and sort it out that way. I'll post full descriptions because I'm out in the middle of the woods, I can't really Google it for you. And gamma ray surgery, which is where they get a thin beam of radiation and destroy it that way, which I went for because it was the least invasive and had the most likelihood to succeed, so logically I went with that. So for that they had to tie my head down with this metal vise that I've still got a little scar from, which I will show you. I've got a little recording because I had to do this before, so. And yeah, another thing that happens is your emotional stability kind of goes off the wall, because obviously being diagnosed with essentially a terminal illness is scary. It can affect people in different ways. Some people might get depressed, some people might get angry, some people might give up. I gave up completely. For the first few months that I was diagnosed with it, I went completely off the rails. I drank, I got involved with shitty people, I didn't really care in terms of prosperity, I lost friends, my life was already falling apart at that point in my eyes, so I thought I'd just destroy all of it so I've got nothing left to lose. And when you've got nothing left to lose, nothing matters, right? So you shouldn't care. But eventually, through therapy and through counselling, I managed to pick myself up and I started to do YouTube videos. Once I knew everything was going to be alright, and I wanted to do that because I knew that if I was going to fucking die, I wanted to at least try and do what I wanted to do. So I wrote loads of poetry, I wrote loads of lyrics, and I did lots of art, and I did lots of ideas for things, and I did videos, and creatively it was probably one of the best times of my life. But otherwise, no. But what I will say, if you have AVM, listen, kid. I don't want to call you a kid, but it is stupidly unlikely that you have this to begin with. It's like you've got struck by lightning, and if you were to die, that would be getting struck by lightning again. Does that happen much? And there are certain things you can do. You could keep listen, it's just the chances of you being okay are higher than the chances of you not being okay. But what's going to help more than anything for you to be okay in anything like this is to believe that, because you cannot let this kill you. Half the time people who die because they want to die. When it comes to things like this, they give up. I've seen it time and time again, because I've known loads of people with fucking cancer and stuff. When they die, half the time it's because they've given up. So that's what you have to do. You have to just not give up, and I can't give any more logical or concrete advice than that. I really can't. But so yeah, I had to relearn a bunch of stuff. I had to relearn how to ride a bike. I had to relearn how to swim. I learned how to skateboard again. I got these massive gaps in my memory, which I can only assume are from the AVM. And still, not many people believe me because it's not known about. But I'm here. I'm still here, and nothing's going to stop me being here. If I get it again, then I'll just go through it again, and I'll survive again. You know, because that's the way you have to think. So I probably forgot to mention a bunch of stuff, and if I have, I'm real sorry, but I think I'm just going to leave it at that because it's getting dark, so I have to head home. So I hope you enjoyed that. Like it if you did. Leave a comment also, and we can get a bit of a discussion going. If you yourself have any experiences with AVM or know someone with AVM, and leave your story below, because that would really mean the world to me to hear about other people, because The worst thing about when I had it is I felt alone, and that's terrifying. When you're alone, you think you might be dying, it's not a good place. Be there for them, and that's the best thing you can do. Thank you for listening. Hope you liked it. Bye bye.